I'd like to welcome people that are attending the Pacific Northwest Trading Workshop and to Best Choice users. My name is George Lee, and I'm joined today by Chris White. We were going to do this presentation on April the 15th, the Friday, but we ran out of time. We had some issues with technical problems, so today we should not have any of those issues. And so I'm going to talk about combining Chris's EdgeRater software with Best Choice software and just showing you how powerful a combination working with the two together is. So I'm going to start by just showing some charts of two stocks that we found using Chris's in-play template and another stock that we found looking for something that was breaking out of a squeeze. Okay, so the first stock I'm going to show you is a stock called MCUR. I'll blow it up here so you can see it better. So this is a type of pattern that has been talked about by Jesse Stein quite a bit. And last night we were looking for this type of pattern here. So this is called a squeeze. It just means that you're getting a contraction of your Bollinger Bands. And the definition of a squeeze is that the Bollinger Bands have contracted inside the Keltner channel. So when that happens, it creates red dots down here. And again, red dots aren't available on Best Choice, but we can still scan for them using EdgeRater. So this was one of the stocks that we found last night using EdgeRater, and it was the type of pattern we were looking for, and it already had this breakout on Friday. So you can see it doesn't look like much. If I took this one big volume bar out of the way, it actually had quite a burst on Friday, and it actually had a significant move on Friday, and then today it had an even bigger move. So this is the kind of setup we were looking for. So you've got a squeeze, and it's a massive squeeze, quite long in duration, and then today, of course, you got the huge buy signal. Okay, so if you were ready for this and you'd had a buy stop here around $1.14, your sell would have been up here on the PSAR around $1.75. So again, I don't know how many contracts most people or how many shares most people would buy of something that's going up from $1.14 to $1.15 to $1.75. It's basically a 60-cent move. If you had 5,000 shares, might be what 10,000 shares I would bought. 1,000 shares times 60-cent move is $3,000 or $6,000. Okay, so it's a significant move on the day. And tomorrow, I would anticipate we're likely to get some move again, just because we had selling come in at the latter part of the day. So we had selling come in here. Okay, so that was one of the stocks that we found, and that was just looking for things with long squeezes. And the next ones we found, this was a stock that was also on the Jesse Stein watch list. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Jesse Stein, but again, this did a pretty good setup early in the morning. You can see it had a really nice move on Friday. This came out of Chris's in-play template, and today we're going to download some tickers from Chris's template and from Chris's regression template to Best Choice to show you can combine the two and create quite a powerful combination here. Okay, so here is the opening range, the opening 5-minute range on Legacy today. At the open, the high was $2.10, so we would have a buy stop at $2.11, and we would probably be getting out somewhere up in this neighborhood here. So there's a 10 EMA violation, and there's a PSAR violation here. So this looks like it's around the 284, 285 level. So let's give ourselves, I'd say 284. We got in at 210. So again, on the 74-cent move, a lot depends on how many shares you got, but let's say you bought 5,000. You're going to make $3,500 on the day on that move. And so daily chart, and again, you can see there was these little bursts of volume there. And we can also use EdgeRater to find these pocket pivots in our scans. Okay, and the last stock we talked about that was in play on was neothetics. So I'll show you that chart. Okay, so I've got the wrong ticker here. I don't know why it gave me something that I wasn't wanting. Anyway, there was NEOT, and there was the open on Friday. So you can see it had a big move on Friday, big move up, and then it sold off today. Again, it closed higher than it had opened. It was up 23% in the day, but again, big sell-off. So again, if you had put in a buy stop here, you're probably getting filled somewhere up in this area here. And this one, as you can see, basically went against you very quickly. So if you had been in on Friday, it was done okay today. But if you tried to get in today, it did have a nice move. But you can see it finished with a big red candle. So the sellers came in here. Okay, so tomorrow, be watching this just to see if it does have some sort of move to the upside. So again, I just want to have some way of these kind of tickers and trying to respond accordingly. So Chris is going to take us through his linear regression channel, and we're going to look at things going back about 3 months of history. So Chris, I will pass
me the ball.
Ball to you, and I'll pass you the ball.
Pass me the ball.
And you can take over.
Okay, let's see if I can show my screen. I'm just going to wait for the controls to come in here. I don't see them yet. Okay, so share my screen, monitor 1. Ta-da. Let me know when you can see my screen, George.
Okay, I can see your screen.
All right, well, hi everybody. As George said, my name is Chris White, and I write a software program called EdgeRater, and it's been going for about 9 years now, and it's been great over the last couple of years working with George very closely and coming up with some really interesting templates that produce some rich reports that are very good at finding different scenarios. So going to go through a couple of those today. And there are lots of different templates in the system, and I always say to people who get kind of put off by how many templates are there, that you don't really need to look at all the templates. You kind of focus on one or two, find your niche, and work with those. So, you know, don't get worried by the fact that we have over 80 different templates in the system. Most people just use a handful, and personally, I have 5 that are my favorites, about 5 that I use regularly. But the categories of templates are all on the right-hand side here, and George has got his own category. If I click on George's face there, then to the left, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different templates that I've worked on with George over the last 3 years or so. And the one that we're going to, or 2 we're going to look at today are actually not in this category. He was talking that we were looking yesterday with the squeeze, been the daily squeeze template, but we also have red, green, and CCI template and candle patterns.
Yeah, and before Chris goes any further, just those 3 templates at the bottom, I'd say those are more continuation type templates. So you're looking for things that are currently moving,
right,
or things that are just about to reverse. So could be in an uptrend, and then you get a clearing bar, or you get a low closed doji at tops or a high closed doji at bottoms. So you can scan for those.
Right.
Things are already in a zoom, meaning that they're in a strong trend up or a strong trend down. And we get pullbacks in an uptrend or pullbacks in a downtrend, so it gives us opportunities. And then the squeeze, the other type of trading I do is just looking for compression of volatility, where you get very huge breakouts. So you get abnormal volume price and volume breakouts on things that are low volatility. So those kind of moves typically are quite explosive.
Right.
Let Chris continue.
Yeah. So I'm going to go down here and you'll see there's another category called linear regression. And in there's actually only one template, but this template does quite a lot on its own. So I'm going to run that one first. And there are really no settings to change with this template. You just select the template, gives you a little overview in the middle here about what the template does. And then you choose a symbol list that you want to run the template on to get your report. So I'm just going to, I've got my list of all securities that are above $1 and over 250,000 50-day average of volume traded, and I just hit the run button up here. And then if you look at the lower left, you'll see the progress bar moving along as it processes these 2,800 odd symbols, and when it's done, it will pop up the report, which is coming into view now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run the in-play template as well, so we get two reports up at the same time. And the in-play template is located in the Hot Topics category, so I'll click on Hot Topics. I'll find in-play, and then with this one there is one setting to choose, and that's how many days of look back you want to use. And I think, George, you were saying that you wanted to look at 5 days?
So we're going to look back over 5-day periods.
Yeah,
and
so
see what stocks have had the maximum sort of amount of play.
Okay, so I'm going to I'll change that setting number of days to 5 from 10, and I'll just hit run again. And again, it's going to process this. It's a bit quicker this time. There's a bit less processing going on here, and this produces a report. Now, when these two reports are produced, I can actually shrink the main template runner down and just look at these two reports, and I can position them on the screen however I like. If you have more than one screen, then you can put one on each screen or however you like to lay them out. But I like to put them, when I'm doing a presentation, on one screen, one above the other, just like that. And I leave a space on the right-hand side for a chart. And I'll explain a bit about the linear regression template report and what it's showing you. Let me expand that up a little bit. It's actually got several groups of columns. So column E through H is your 5-day linear regression. Columns I through L is your 10-day regression, and so on all the way through to 252 days for this set of columns up here. So that's a 1 year. 252 trading days is about 1 year. We're going to be focused on the 3-month period, which is column Q through T. And so it's really only these 4 columns that we need to look at, so we can kind of ignore the rest of them for now. But it's always useful to be able to just glance across and refer back to what those regressions are. So the way that this works and the way that you would use this is if you're looking for things that have been going up the fastest, then that's your annualized percent. And you can click on the header to sort by annualized percent either being high or low. So now I'm sorting from the highest to the lowest. And so what it's showing me in this list, and I'll get rid of all the blanks, what it's showing me is the stocks in order that have been moving over the last 3 months with the fastest linear regression slope. And I can tell a few things from these columns. I can tell, to start with, that the direction is up. That's also obvious by the annualized percent. But the reason this direction column is here, in addition to the annualized percent, is it's actually easy to filter this column. You can just choose the drop down and say you only want to see things that are going up. So you can click off the flat and the down. And now that is filtered by ups only. So you won't ever see the downs now. The other 2 columns that are interesting here are the percent B column and the bandwidth column. So if you're looking for consistent channels, that's really a channel that's a lot narrower, and that would be where the bandwidth is lower. The bandwidth being the distance between the upper channel line and the lower channel line. It's probably best to bring up a chart here just so we can get a reference as to what we're actually looking at. So I'll just double click on this cell and I'll put this chart, which comes up over here, and then we can scroll down through the list and the chart will quickly update with whatever we're looking at. So now you can see why these are appearing in the list. Okay, we've got the linear regression channel drawn, and because we're looking at this group of columns, the 3-month regression, the chart is actually displaying the linear regression over 3 months. So if we had clicked on the 1-month column over here, then you see the linear regression line is now changed to be a 1-month regression line. So the report is actually linked to particular chart layouts, which makes it kind of nice to quickly see what you want to see. So yeah, so that's the regression. You might see this annotation here, it says Edge event, and that's really just pointing to the bar for the date of this report. If you look over to the left, where it says 4/25/2016, that's the day that we ran this report for. It's possible in the software to run this report for a historical date, and if you did that and then started to browse around the report, the little Edge event will be pointing at different days. Usefulness of that is that you can then see what happened since the events occurred. But if you're just looking at today's date or doing a scan for the last day, I normally turn that annotation off. We don't really want to see that.
Okay, and just while Chris has that chart oscillator up, you can see that it was in a very tight compressed zone for quite a while as well. So this is a very similar chart to that chart I showed you of MCUR, where it's going sideways for quite a while, so you're getting very low volatility, and then you get a breakout. So Chris doesn't have volume on that chart, but there was little spikes of volume that came in all the way across there.
Yeah, let me try on this. Maybe I've got volume on this one linked in. So if I got volume. What I did, I just clicked on the report below here, and these reports are kept in sync. So as I have CPXX selected in the top, it's also come to the top of the view here on the bottom. This report is linked to a different layout, which happens to have volume. So I won't go into that template anymore. I'll let George continue.
Right. Maybe you could just show Dragon Wave as well, because that was a very similar explosive move out of the. So that was number 37 in your linear regression.
Oh yeah. So if we go down here a little bit, so you can see. So this was number 1. Well, it's actually number 34, but the ones that are ahead of this in the list are blanks, if you remember. So this is actually the top performer for that 3-month period. This number 2 would be SXE, number 3 would be UNXL, and number 4 would be Dragon Wave, DRWI.
Okay, so again, Dragon Wave had a fairly long period where it was going sideways, and then it had explosive growth up.
Yeah, and if I expand this chart out, you can see that sideways period here over several months.
So it also came out of quite a massive squeeze. Okay, so we're able to find those kind of setups using EdgeRater.
Right. And that's what we were looking for yesterday. We were doing squeeze scans that produced those 3 stocks that George showed at the beginning there. But
yeah,
we were basically, the idea was to try and find stocks that had the same characteristic as Dragon Wave. And we looked at this, we looked at the volume signatures in here, and we then went through our squeeze scan and just tried to find stocks that had the same type of signature. And we found those through that method. Okay, but I'm just going to go down through this list and point out a few things about what you're actually looking at here. So you can see with DWRI, you can see that the linear regression line is the red line in the middle here, but the other 2 lines are drawn 1 standard deviation above and 1 standard deviation below the middle line. So it basically takes that 3-month period, figures out what the standard deviation is in price for the whole 3-month period, and then it adds a value to get the upper channel line and subtracts one standard deviation to get this lower line. So if these channels are closer together, then it means that over that period of time, the standard deviation is smaller, which means it gives you a more consistent channel. So if you look over at bandwidth over here, you'll see a 0.84 for Dragon Wave, and it's quite a wide channel. You can see that actually when you look at the chart here. But if we find something that is a bit narrower, and we can sort by bandwidth as well to find more consistent performers. Why don't I do that, just to show you what that looks like. Okay, so I've sorted by bandwidth. I've got some very low bandwidth type stocks have come up now. So this is a bond, and these things. So I'm not now, because I've sorted by bandwidth, I'm not sorted by annualized percent anymore. And so what you can do in here is click on this and say you actually only want to see things where the annualized percent is greater than, and I'm going to say
make that 100.
I was going to say 100. So yeah.
Great minds think alike.
Exactly. So 100% here, and now we're going to look through all of these stocks. So by definition of what we've done here, these are now stocks that over the last 3 months are going up with an annualized percent of over 100%, and also have narrow bandwidth as we go down through the list here. So here's one, MWA. You can see that the lines, the upper and lower channel lines are quite close together. Means the standard deviation means the variance of price is quite narrow, and the price is very tight. So there's a nice tight channel there. Here's another one, RPM, and IRM, Iron Mountain. So you can see all of these have a very nice looking rising channel, just by definition of the way we've sorted it. If you wanted to sort this actually using 10-day or 5-day, 21-day, or any of the other periods, then you just look at these other columns and you can sort them in using those columns instead. Also notice as I go down through this list that the lower in-play report is keeping up with what we're looking at here. So I clicked on, in this case, CDPX, and the in-play report is now scrolled to show CVPX. So I can tell a few different things by looking at this in-play report too. Alternatively, we could start filtering and sorting by the in-play, and then the linear regression would also update to reflect what we're looking at down here. So everything is kind of synchronized and works together. I'm going to go down through the list a bit more. What I could do now is sort by annualized percent again, because we were really interested in that sort. And I'm no longer sorting by bandwidth. So now we're just going to go down through here, and we're finding the things that are moving up the fastest over a 3-month period. And George will
tell you how many tickers you got all together.
Yeah, if we open up this window a little bit more, I come down here, down to the 100. So don't worry about the numbers on the left here, because they're the original row numbers before we did the filtering and sorting, so they're not going to give us an accurate idea. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this list to George, and I can easily do that by clicking. We're going to select these symbols and do my Control-C to copy that. I'll put it into a email, and I will send that to George. Tickers.
Maybe Barry, because you're going to send me another one too. Okay, it's gone.
Too late, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take that list and import it into Best Choice in just a minute. Chris, can you go down to one of the silver stocks? I saw Endeavor Silver in there, because silver has had a really good run.
Sure, yeah. Do you remember where that was you saw it?
8.
There we go.
There it is.
There it is.
Okay, so again, you can see what the silver stocks, we were just commenting today on what silver's been doing. I haven't seen this kind of pattern. I don't remember ever seeing it, but if you look at silver itself, it had 5 red candles, so basically a pyramid candle of red candles. But anyways, it's had a really nice run and then had a breakout last week and then it pulled back. So again, on Wednesday, I was getting out of most of my silver positions. If you look just above that, you've got AG, number 592.
Yep.
And so again, we want to try and find these early in their runs. So the reason we want to use best choice is just to try and find things that have high annualized growth. So if, Chris, can you look from that green candle swing low? Way down at the bottom?
Oh, right down here. Yeah.
Right down there. So if you look at this on best choice, you'll see the annualized growth rate for those first 5 candles was actually over 1,000%. Okay, so if we find things that are over 1,000%, Chris would have picked this up on his in-play template after 5 bars, and then it's just a case of finding a good entry point on something.
Yeah, and it would have come up also on the 5-day linear regression at that point, right? That would have been your, where it would have said 5,000% or whatever it says.
Right. Okay, so you can find it on the linear regression or on the in-play template.
Yeah. And one thing I did want to mention that's useful in here too is, while we're looking at this, is often you're looking for things that are at the top or the bottom of a channel, and you can actually sort by things that are at the top or bottom of a channel. That's the final column that I didn't mention. That's your %B, which is basically where price is sitting within the channel. If the %B value is 0, it means that price is at the lower channel line. If %B is 100, then it's at the upper channel line. So First Majestic, I'm going to click on that. This is the 6-month column now. You can see over in the 6 month that it is right at the upper channel line. In the 3 month, it's 67% of the way between the lower and the upper channel line. So if you want to find things that are moving up but are also at the lower part of the channel, you can easily do that just by scanning through this column here. So this PLG is moving up, but it's at the lower end of the channel.
And US Steel is there as well. So X, number 530.
Yep, X is right at the lower part of the channel. If it's a negative number in here, it means it's below the lower part of the channel. So it's broken all the way down through the channel. So Hercules Offshore Hero. So oftentimes you want to find things that are, if you're looking for longs, often you want to find them oversold when they're at the lower end of the channel. And so you can easily do that. You could either do that by just looking through as we have done here, or you can click on any of these drop downs in any of the columns and you've got filtering and sorting capability of it on any of those. So for instance, as an example here, I could say I only want to see things that are less than 10%. Less than 10%.
That's going to be a pretty small list.
Yeah, so there we go. There's probably, I don't know what, 50 odd in there, something like that. And then I'm going to sort it by that. So we've got things that are, because I didn't say above 0, we've also got things that have fallen through quite a lot. And if we go down to the 0 area, then we're now going to start going through the list of things that are right at the lower line, moving on up. So if you're looking for that type of situation, then this is a very good way of doing that. Do you like that, George?
Yep, absolutely. And you're also able to do that on best choice. So for those people that own best choice, it'll also tell you where it is on the channel, so I think they're show between 0 and 100 as well.
Right. Good. Good.
It gives negative readings on best choice.
Okay. All right. So everyone is familiar with that. That's good. Okay. So that, in a nutshell, is linear regression analysis. What I often like to do is I'll say one more thing about this, is if you're looking at one set of columns here, say, the 3-month column, you can also quickly scan across and you might want to find things that also have fast 5-day regression. So you know that they're moving up because you've got this already filtered in, set in. You could then say, I now want to find things that on the 5-day are actually going up quickly as well. Let's go to the top of that list and sort it. So here we are. We can see the 5-day line is now drawn because I'm clicking on the 5-day column instead of the 63-day column. 63 days and 5 days. So that's a useful thing. Then we're going to take a look at the in-play report.
So before we get out of there, Chris, just in case there's people that are looking for short opportunities, we want to look at things that have been pretty beaten up. So I think you put in your 63-day report, you were just looking for ups, but could you change your ups to downs now?
Yep.
So we're going to filter.
So I turn these filters off because I already filtered by %Bs and all of those sorts of things. So I've turned all that filtering off. Now I'm just going to look for downs.
Okay, so select it all, then we just put to downs.
And we'll scroll up a bit. There we go. And then we can sort by speed of down. So this is a PTCT. I think we were looking at this also on in our workshop last weekend.
Yeah, so it's coming up to its 50-day moving average. I don't think you have PTCT on you don't have on moving averages on that diagram.
No. If you want to see moving averages, you might want to put a chart on that has moving averages. Easy enough to change.
Okay, so you have a falling 50 and it's coming up towards that 50, so we'll see how it reacts there.
Right. So notice I was able to override the template layout by just clicking on the Layouts tab over here. But the template is still linked, so when I click on the next symbol, it's actually going to go back to the template layout. Or I could turn that feature off with this template linking over here.
Right.
Okay, so we'll go down through this list. This is obviously something that's just not a very real thing, I think. IGZ. Okay, and then we get down into JDST, moving down at negative 3,000% annualized.
And again, JDST is the opposite of JNUG. So it's the JNUG is the junior gold mining bull, and this is the junior gold mining bear.
Let's move on down.
Valiant again is coming up to its 50-day moving average.
It's at the top of the channel, falling channel.
Yep, so it's getting overbought in a downtrend, so we'll see how it reacts around this area here. You can see today it looks like it has a bearish engulfing candle.
Yep.
And again, I told people to watch that. There's a trend, you can draw a trend line there. If it breaks down below that trend line.
Let's just put the squeeze template on and see what happened there. So it was in a squeeze. Yep. Big volume bar today.
So quite a bit of selling again today.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, the solar stocks have been getting hit. There's oil and gas exploration. VIX has been just trending down steadily the last little while. So you got TVIX and UVXY. I don't think you can short those.
No.
What you probably want to do here is trade the
VXX.
Yeah, so So you can buy puts on VXX.
Yeah, you can see the UVXY and TVIX look almost identical as I go back and forth through those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. DWTI coming down, PSG, and this big gap. I think that's the one we saw had fallen right through its linear regression channel. If I remember, is that right? Oh, well, it hit the top of the channel and then there's a drop down to the lower end of the channel.
Mm-hmm. And again, there's quite a few, if you look at this list, there's quite a few ETFs, levers ETFs that are in here.
Right.
Okay, now that's fairly nice there.
Which one? AEGR?
Yep. Again, you can see it has a fairly tight channel, so the annualized decay rate is pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in a fairly tight channel, so.
Yeah, it's actually also 80% of the way up towards the upper channel line, and it has a bandwidth of 0.58.
Which looks pretty good compared to some of the ones above it.
Yeah, exactly. There we go, end point. Seems to be breaking above the downward line. But then today had a bearish candle. What the volume was on that. Take a look. Yeah, higher negative volume. That would be a reverse pocket pivot.
Yeah.
Came out of a squeeze. Showed this inventory retracement bar here, and then has this bearish candle here. Get back to moving on. Okay.
Okay. Now, when I see a chart like this, I actually I like these kind of charts. So it's had, you can see how wide the range was earlier as it was plummeting like a waterfall.
It came down to 380.
So what price is that now, Chris, down at the bottom?
5 points. Let's see. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, we're down at 3.25.
So this is the kind of chart that I'd like to find. Okay, on that chart there, you can see it looks a little more volatile, but if you look at it on the longer term chart, it looks like it's in a very, when you do that, it looks like a pretty tight range.
Yeah, you've got some scaling issues going on. That's the problem. The previous prices are swamping. It must have had some reverse splits or something, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's had some reverse splits on the way down.
Yeah,
okay, but again, when these things go pretty much sideways like this, you get these incredibly long squeezes, and then they break out. So it's just one that I put on my watch list here.
Yeah.
I think dry ships is probably, it's not the next one. Let's look at BP Prudhoe Bay. So I think
Yep.
British Petroleum.
Yep.
And LAVD is the biotech levers ETF.
Mm-hmm. The bear ETF.
And you can see it's been in quite a downtrend the last little while.
Yep.
But it was going up start of the year, and when it was going up, the biotechs were selling off pretty heavily.
The other thing to notice on this chart that's drawn here are these lines, these other lines, and they are actually the endpoints of the linear regression at the various points in the various bars of history. So these lines should always end up at the endpoint of the current linear regression channel. But you can see where the endpoints used to be for the linear regression channel. And then the lower chart area is actually showing you the slope of the linear regression channel throughout history. So as the linear regression
channel was up.
Yeah, so this point here that I'm pointing at, you can see you're right at the apex of this curve. So that's when the 63-day linear regression channel started turning down, right there.
Okay, so Chris, can you export that list to me, put it on an email, and then once you've done that, I will show people how to import lists into choice.
So this is the down list.
Yep.
And I'm just going to do the same thing I did before, all the way down. Actually, I've got quite a few on here. I didn't filter this by anything, so I'm only going to go down to the ones that are up to minus 100%. How about that?
That sounds good.
And I'm going to select that. Control C puts it on the clipboard, and then we'll send another email to George. Down, ticker is down.
So LRC down.
And I'm going to delete my name there in case it gets confused. LRC, okay. And off it goes. Should be with you momentarily.
Yeah.
All right. So the in-play, what that's showing you, we didn't talk about that yet. Let me just quickly say what that is. The in-play is, we've chosen a period of time which is 5 days, and you could choose any period of time. And what it's basically doing is saying over that chosen period of time, what's been moving. It doesn't, like with linear regression, it's where the slope is, which slope has been going up the fastest. But with in-play, it's what over that period of time had moved. Even if today it's still where it was 5 days ago, maybe in the middle it had a huge move, and the in-play template will actually show you that. So it can show you things that have seen some interest come in and have been forgotten about for a few bars, and you'll be able to pick them up on here. So it's always sorted when you run this by max play. And you can think of max play as really being the lowest low to the highest high, essentially over the period of time, in this case 5 days. So when we look at the chart, this chart is showing the green line is your highest high over 5 days, the red line is the lowest low over 5 days. So we'll look at 5 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see today, the lowest low over 5 days was the fifth bar ago. So we've got a max play of 233% between this lowest low here and this highest high here. But other columns in here can give you more of a clue as to what has actually happened. You've got things like the open to close, which is the 5 days ago open price to current day's close. You've also got the previous day's close to current day's close. And you've also got the highest high to close. And so if you're looking for things that have had a little bit of they've had some interest and they've also had a retracement, then this is a good way of doing it. You can look at highest high to close and find things that have retraced, somewhat. If you're looking for less than 50% retracements, then you can find them in this column here. And you can do sorting and filtering by this too. So there's a whole kind of wealth of information built into this particular report. Often in these reports, you'll scroll over to the right-hand side and you'll see lots of other information. Most of the time, that's additional information that's used to calculate the columns that are further to the left. So you don't really normally have to go over all the way to the right, but they are there just in case you are interested. So I'm going to look down through here, max play. This should actually pick out things that you might also find when you do a 5-day linear regression and you're looking for things that are moving up the quickest on an annualized percent basis.
Okay, and if Chris just shows eBio again,
Yep.
One of the templates that he also has is the red-green template. So basically when you start moving up and then you have a retracement, you're looking for continuation to the upside. So what his red-green template does is it finds things like eBio that have had a significant move up. They have a retracement that's, well, you can find ones that are less than 50% and then continues to the upside. So again, you can see, you may not have picked this up because it was under $1 when it happened, but it did go from, if you had an opening range somewhere around 60 cents, then you went from 60 cents up to, let's say you were able to get out somewhere around $1.50. That's a fairly nice move, $1.50 from a 60-cent entry. So that's about 2.5 times what you originally entered at.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, and that red-green template would have picked that up right in this area here. After you have this move here, and you've got this red down here, so you would have picked that up right here.
And we're having another red moment now. So will it continue on from here? We don't know, but at least we can be on our toes to try and pick something up and see if it's going to work.
Okay. Next on the list, I think you were talking about this earlier, Legacy.
Right. So that was one we picked up yesterday from Chris's in-play template. And again, you can see it's had a pretty nice move over the last few days.
Yep. So yesterday when we were scanning, it was scanning on this bar here.
Yep.
And then today
it had a really nice little opening, 5-minute opening range breakout.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Moving down, BCEI, it's got a lot of green volume coming in here. 81% to max play, so 81% between the lowest low, highest high over 5 days. Unipixel, we picked that one up already on the linear regression template, so these reports will pick up similar things just because of the nature of what they're looking for. In this case, we're looking for a 5-day change, and the other report was looking for a 3-month regression, which qualified. This qualified as one of the steepest regression channels over 3 months. I'll just go down through the list here, and you can...
Can you go back one there, Chris?
Yeah.
To CRC?
Yep.
Yep. So again, you can see we had a pretty strong move up there, and then a pullback, and then a continuation of the upside. There's also a candle pattern there that we look for. It's inventory retracement bar sandwich. It's where you have a long wick on top and a long wick on the bottom. So right at the swing low,
yep,
that past move, you can see you have a long wick there and a long wick there. Okay, yep. So if you'd gotten in on that buy stop there, you're in somewhere around $1.10. Currently, see it's trading around just $2.16, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up almost half what you paid for it, twice what you paid for it.
Yep.
Okay, so Chris is going to send me an in-play list.
Yep. How far do you want to go down this list?
How far down is 30%? Not a lot, maybe 20%. Because again, 20% over 5 days, if you kept doing that every 5 days, you'd have a pretty nice annualized growth.
So yeah, you got about 100 coming your way from this list.
Yeah, so I think that would be good.
Okay, let me just Control-C, copy that to the clipboard, and then we'll send you an email. This is in play, 5 days.
Up. Right. I'll figure that out.
Yep.
Okay, now you can also look at things that have dropped in the last 5 days.
Yep. You just sorting now by clicking in the header here, not on the little arrow, but just clicking in the header, that's going to sort the columns in the reverse direction. And now we'll find things that are really dropping. So TRXC has been dropping the most, so 74% from lowest low to highest high, essentially, or highest high to lowest low, over 5 days. This is a, yeah, so sometimes you see these things which say test issue. I think that's just my data is coming from somewhere weird. Again, and we're into something that we recognize. Sarepta. Hero, we saw that before. That's at the lower end of the upper channel, if you remember. The rising, I think that was the one that was at the lower end or just below the rising 3-month channel. So I'll send you this list as well. We'll take it down to probably 20%. There's only 37 of these. Seadrill is in there too. Mm-hmm. Copy that and give you this email. In play, down, 5 days. Okay, so I think George is going to show you now how you can put this into best choice and work with these tickers.
Okay, and I'm just going to do it with one or two of the lists, and we'll just go through it on best choice and just show how I put it into making some decisions on what I'm going to buy and whatnot. Anyway, Chris will send me that list.
Yep, it's on its way.
It's on its way, and then I think I'll take over.
Okay. You can have the ball.
I'm going to actually pass it to the other computer. Okay, so thanks, Chris.
My pleasure.
And we should still be able to hear.
Yeah, you can hear. I can hear you. You can hear me.
I'm going to share my screen.
Okay, I can see your screen, Acer.
Okay, and I'm going to open my webmail here and just try and find the emails that Chris sent me.
There you go.
There it is. Okay, so once again, I'll just click the top one and I'll hit Control A and then Control C. I'll come into my text file here. Oops. Into Notepad. I'll paste it in here in my Notepads. So these are the ones that are up over 100%. Again, silver, some US steel, PLG is platinum. So again, a lot of basic materials. There's Dragon Waves, Unipixel. Okay, so I'm going to save this. And again, we're going to call this LRC up. Okay, so that's now been saved. I can close this, come in. I already have the LRC list in here. It's just got CPXX in it. Okay, I'm going to go to File Imports. So I think this is it right here. Open it. And it's importing. Okay, so there was a few things it didn't like. It didn't like CPXX, maybe because I already had it in there. What I usually do is I'll take the list here. So PBR is Petrobras, Brazil. I'm surprised that's not in, but it may be because they have A and B shares. So again, I'll have to check to make sure some of these are available. Okay, so anyway, that's okay. I've now got this. I'm going to close it. So in best choice, I can now come into the linear regression. It should be at the very bottom. LRC up 425. It's got price gains. I'm going to do this. I think I'll just sort by ticker. It should be at the top. And let's come over here. And if I just come through this, what you're going to see is a lot of these tickers are going to have pretty good annualized price growth on them. So there's one. Okay, so Motivation, annualized growth, 1,400%, 360. I'm looking for the higher ones. So again, this is a 63 trading day period. And we're just looking for ones that annualized growth is over 100% for the year. And again, best choice will give you slightly different ratings than EdgeRater will. And it seems to function on compounding for some sense. Okay, so there's Mankind. Again, it's had a nice move up, 2,800% if it keeps up for the whole year. I want to get down to Unipixel. So let's just, Unipixel should be on this list. It's probably down near the bottom. There it is. Okay, so there's Unipixel, and again, this has had a pretty nice move off of the lows there. You can see the annualized growth rate is 794 there, but if we go to this swing low and look here, annualized growth rate is over 1,000%. So again, I always say, if it's over 1,000% annualized on best choice, it's usually something you want to be very interested in. So down in this area here, it was around $1, and now it's over $2. So things that are capable of doubling in a period of a month have a pretty high annualized growth rate. So you double in 1 month, that means in 2 months you've quadrupled, and so on and so on. So that's a pretty significant move. Okay, so let's just go back 6 months and see where we have this last swing low. So again, what we're trying to find is we're trying to find it early. So again, after this big down move here, you got in again. So you probably have an opportunity after this kind of candle to get in. But let's just see what it did after the swing lows down here. So again, if I just look at the first 5 or 6 days there, there's the first 5 days, and you can see after 5 days, the analyzed growth rate was 874. Price consistency was very high, 98. So again, if I come back to the 3-month charts and just start here, price consistency is very high. It's over 90%, and the price growth percent is 1872. So this is very typical of the sort of things that I'm looking for. I go to the top of the list. You've got things like Barrick Golds. And again, if I go 3 months, Barrick's been moving for the last 3 months. So again, not as huge compared to some of the other ones. But if I come down a little ways, one of the stocks that I've been trading, just got out of it last Wednesday, was First Majestic. Okay, and the annualized growth rate here, it says, is 969. And again, it was over 1,000% at one point. So again, it's the type of thing that I'm looking for. I think we also have Endeavor Silver here. Let's see if I can find that. It's another stock that it was in. Dragon Wave, of course, is just doing well in this little section in here. But I think if I come back a bit, and just come up through here, okay, you can see the annualized growth rates over those 5 days there. So once you had this big spike here, it just kept going. So again, it kept going up from there. And again, this was stock that we found on that long squeezes. So it had a really long period of low volatility before it broke out. And I'll just show you eBios, the other one that was on the in-play template. Let's look at that over a 3-month period. So again, it's had a pretty strong breakout recently. So again, we just look at a 5-day chart right in here. I think I have to add 1 day here. Okay, so you can see the annualized growth rate here, and again, it's based on the slope of this center line. So that one has had a pretty good move, and then just looking for EXK. So again, there's a lot of stocks in here that came off of Chris's list, and if you combine it with best choice, you can find some pretty awesome trades here, pretty explosive moves. Okay, so there's EXK again. At one point, EXK was up over 1,000% annualized. Okay, so it's pulled back a little bit in here. Okay, anyway, what I wanted to show you was how I use a combination of EdgeRater and best choice to find these phenomenally explosive trades. I'm sure a lot of you would be very happy to find things where annualized growth is over 500 or 800 or even 1,000%. So for those of you that have best choice, I hope you can find these kind of setups over and over again. If you have both EdgeRater and best choice, you can see how we can import lists from EdgeRater into best choice. We can also do scans on FinViz that will find some things as well. So I found it very easy to import from FinViz, and it takes a few more steps to import from EdgeRater and from Thinkorswim. So another session will show you how to import lists from Thinkorswim into best choice. So thank you everybody for coming out. I'm hoping that's some help. Things that have very good price consistency and very high annualized price growth are relatively easy stocks to trade compared to things that are very volatile and things that aren't going up very fast. So those are the things I look for, and hopefully it makes some sense to you, and I wish you all the best in your trading. Thanks, Chris, for coming out.
Thanks, George. It's been a pleasure, and thank you, everybody.
Okay, and we'll do it again.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.